Hello, greetings, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and I'm here again to give us another broadcast. It amazes me that I could have been this meticulous in giving steady broadcast. It's actually going to be how the community will be long term, and I'm setting the example. Broadcasters are supposed to give information per time about how the community is doing and how other activities out there is going. Now, the reason why I do give my broadcast on a daily basis is to make sure that everyone are kept in touch or everyone are up to date, as in to the current happenings that are going on across the entire world. Now, if you're coming into my broadcast for the very first time, I would appreciate if you can give a thumbs up to my broadcast and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed yet. Now, the title of my broadcast is We Are Closer Than You Can Ever Imagine to a Completely Digital Economy. Now, I will have a few things to explain and then a few videos to also watch, because broadcasting means educating people about what's going on. Now I would quickly talk about here in Africa, precisely Nigeria, and then the recent updates concerning central bank digital currencies that our central bank wants to implement. And then we'll talk about a few things like how Christian Lagrande now commented about that El Salvador's legalization of Bitcoin. Then we'll conclude on talking about our TBC community, and then I'll call it quits for today. So if you are tuning into my broadcast, at the end of this broadcast, please do well to share, like, subscribe, and then I shall be coming your way again most likely tomorrow. All things being equal by the grace of God. So let me share my screen and then begin to give us the informations that you are supposed to have. All right, so my screen is now being shared. I think it's now being shared. All right, so I'll quickly go into where I've archived my informations and then read through from there. Okay. Now it's from here. Let me quickly pick up this. This is the first content that I want us to look into. Now, when I click on this, let's look at it and then see what we have to. Now, this information was put out, I think, yesterday, because it says 10th of June 2021. Now, this information is something that I'm yet to hear from the conventional news. Now, these people actually bring in informations, but as time goes on, I would verify how legit it is. If it's very legit, yeah, I should be able to get a clip and play it out here, you know. So let's quickly read it out. Central Bank digital currency. Central Bank of Nigeria to launch digital currency. Now we are going to be as brief as possible. We just have a very short line to read through. So let's read. Now the Central Bank of Nigeria has revealed it will launch its digital currency before the year ends. It would launch its digital currency before the year ends. And let's see how it goes. We're in the month of June. We are in the first half of the month. From the month of July is the second half. Now, the central bank made this revelation through its director, information technology, Mrs. Rakia during a virtual media briefing at the end of a central bankers committee, which also held virtually. Okay, so this was not actually held one-on-one, most likely by Zoom. They did it like using Zoom. Now, according to the Apex Bank, the digital currency would be accessible to all Nigerians, just like everybody has access to cash. Everybody will have access to the central bank digital currencies. Interesting. I'm sure so many of us will be happy, like, wow, the whole world is going cashless and everything is actually going digital. That, wow, that's a wonderful improvement. Beware that if this is actually true, these directives are not just carried out by a central bank. It has been from above authorities. Now, in my previous videos, I talked about the United States going digital. They are also having their own Federal Reserve dollar. I've talked about the European central banks also having their own digital dollar. I've talked about the yuan having their own digital dollar. So this is not out of the ordinary. These organizations, which are countries, these corporations, which are countries, are going into the next level of control. So do not think that it's a good thing for central banks to implement a system called central bank digital currencies, and that it's going to make it easy for Bitcoin to thrive and all that. I want you to be aware that these guys are against Bitcoin. They don't want Bitcoin to thrive. And that's why they want to, if they are silent by default, most people, of course, look at it. One of the most used systems in Nigeria is Bitcoin. A good number of youths are using it to virtually opt out of the existing financial system. And a good number of us are aware. So they want to make sure that they put in central banks. And in their central bank, it is fiat currency becoming purely digital. Now, for your information, it is fiat currency becoming purely digital. Have you come to ask yourself, how much money have you been able to save? If you've had so much money and you've kept it in the bank, are you aware that that money is losing its value? Because negative interest rates are taking part. By leaving it idle, inflation is creeping in and causing the money or the value of the money to become worthless slowly. So this thing is now going to be digital. One, two, it will be tracked. They could also store it up on a blockchain, and then they would make arguments to say that there is so much menace, so much unrest. And then if we move the system to a completely digital system, that any transaction that takes place, we will be able to monitor it, the names of the people that engaged in it, and therefore it will promote security. But it will also bring in all the disadvantages that the fiat system has, such as causing money to lose its value by the day. One. Two, making you become poor and poorer every day. In fact, there are an avalanche of disadvantages that the fiat currency has to offer. And this central banking system that has always controlled everything wants to now bring in their final system of control. But be aware, they are not doing it in isolation. The elite, the powers that be, are making sure that every country across the world are bringing into this, bringing in a system of digital economy. And between now and the next 1-2 years, you are going to see these things begin to play out. So I have given you a tip of the iceberg. Let's conclude on the information that has been given to us, which are subject to verification over time. Following that, we look into a few other things, and then that'll be all. Now, the director went further, saying cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and others like it are not under the control of the central bank. They are purely private decisions that individuals make. So why are they so offended with the fact that most people are subscribing to this medium of exchange? Because this one has stood the test of time, even though not stable, even though fluctuates, but it has proved that the system is actually a rigged system. And they want to continue to perpetuate that system of control. Of course, majority of Nigerian citizens, Africans, and the world at large are under the control of the media. The media tell you what to do, and they help you to think for yourself. You are a human being. You should be rational. You should be sovereign over your mind. But it's unfortunate that people lend their brains to the elites, and then their brains are now what they trade upon, and then feed them information that has made them their slaves of the elites. So if you are listening to me and you think that this central banking system that they are bringing in, controlled digital currencies that are going to come in soon, are going to help make the world a better place, I want you to know that it would continue to perpetuate poverty on a global scale. Do you also know that the central banks are the major cause of poverty across the world? There are so many unbanked people in the world because the central banks has kept them off from coming into this system. Now they want to control the whole narrative. If you are sleeping, wake up. Now let me continue. This is they said, read also top Nigerian celebrities on the list of 100 creators of the Binance NFT market. I'm not supposed to divulge into all these activities, but well, for the sake of time, let me just read everything and then quickly move over. We have spent over 2 years studying this concept of central bank digital currency, and we have identified the risks. And this is one of the reasons why I said we are setting up a central governance structure that would involve all industry stakeholders to assess all the risks as we continue on this journey, because it is an evolving market. The narrative wants to be controlled by the government, by the powers that be. Even industries wants to set up their own, but understand that we, the Kringle Private Society, has a global initiative, and that is to bring in abundance for all of humanity. We want to build a system where all of humanity will live in a state of perpetual abundance and prosperity for all. But it's so difficult for people to understand, because ultimately you have to pay the price. That's where responsibility comes in. If you are going to own up to something, you have to first of all be responsible for that thing. Responsibility means paying the price. Everything on earth has a price to pay. Those who are going to fall into the top hierarchy of the Kringle Society has a price to pay. I'll shortly go into that when I'm talking about Kringles in my conclusion, or my concluding part of this broadcast. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria had, on the 5th of February 2021, prohibited regulated financial institutions from facilitating cryptocurrency transactions. The central bank further ordered the closure of accounts related to crypto trading not long after the central bank introduced the Naira for Dollar scheme, which was designed to encourage remittance. So why are they actually shutting down the cryptocurrency space? And they want to, oh man, these guys they piss me off, because there are so many things that are quite questionable. They want to always control the narrative. Well, let's keep reading. This is the last content, and then we move over to the next one. Now, in May, the central bank governor, Godwin Emefiele, announced the bank will definitely launch its own digital currency at the 279th Monetary Policy Rate meeting. That means this is actually in perspective for them to have specified the date that this happened, or the time this happened, not exactly the date. It surely means that this thing is coming. Now, while more details of this central bank digital currencies from the Nigerian Apex Bank is yet to be reviewed, the Director of Information Technology said everybody will have access to the bank's digital currency. Yeah, they are bringing in the system. The Federal Reserve are also doing the same thing. They are cutting off the banking system. Of course, once the Federal Reserve are able to tell the citizens of the United States to download an app, and then money can be sent directly to them instead of going through commercial banks, what do you think will happen to the banking system? Well, your guess is as good as mine. All right, I think I've said a whole lot on this. Now let's move into the next content of today. Now, the next content for today is the little talk that went on between Christina Lagrande. Now, that's the next one I want to play, this particular one. All right, so let's play it out.
Some leading economists have suggested that the pandemic has caused much more structural and fundamental changes to the global economy, similar to what we have seen after, in a different way, of course, after the financial crisis. And they suggest that inflation probably will become a much more persistent problem, and inflation will stay on a much higher level than, especially not only ECB, but also other central banks suggest and expect at the moment. What do you think of these ideas? And my second question relates to the Bitcoin. As you're aware, El Salvador has announced to make the Bitcoin now as an official currency. Are you concerned about this move? Thank you very much.
On the inflation having more persistent impact as a result of the pandemic, I'm assuming that you're referring to economists such as Larry Summers, maybe Olivier Blanchard, and a few others. I think that their point has more to do with the massive stimulus that has been given by the various plans, including in particular the last Biden plan to be voted of over $1.8 trillion. the fact that there might be overheating as a result of that, and therefore inflation that would be higher than what is currently expected. I think that the US economy situation and the euro area economy situation, it's a very, very different story. The two economies are at a different point in the recovery cycle. They start from a completely different base. The fiscal stimulus that have been put in place, at least in end of 2020 and beginning of 2021, are of a different magnitude. And as a result, whatever is ultimately the characterization, the longevity of the price upward pressure that would occur in the United States, I think is completely different from anything that we will see in the euro area. Although, of course, there will be some spillover, as I think I've indicated at our last March conference, as a result of the Biden plan. But certainly of too small a magnitude to actually make a huge difference. But we will be, pandemic is also a factor of what happens. Spillovers from the global economies will have on a domestic economy, and we will be very attentive, and we will look into that as we look carefully at the exchange rates as well. On your second point, I'm no longer familiar with the situation in El Salvador. I know that it's a country that is under IMF program. I think the issue of having a dual tender in a particular economy is a.
I don't know if you heard what this lady said. She is concerned about this El Salvador's implementation of Bitcoin as a legal tender. She clearly said it is under the IMF. So they have a structure. After this, I'll show you their structure. Now, she's talking about a dual currency. So that's to say, as long as it's not according to the plan of the elites, that soon there is going to be a war, and that war will be in favor of the elites. If the people will consent to submitting to the control of the elites, so be it. But I don't think it's going to happen. It's time for humanity to wake up. Let their eyes see the reality of what is going on. If we continue to sleep, these people are going to continue to control. I must tell you the truth. If you ask me, I think these people are old. They are old to continue to control this system. Look at the African narrative. The people that are presidents are in their late 70s. It applies to everything, even in the United States. Why? Why can't young men of the ages 30 to 40, 45, 50, why can't they be the ones to rule? I think these old people has continued to control the narrative. Humanity should rise up. It does not really matter whether you're a member of the Kringle Society or not. Wake up. Wake up to what is happening. You have an option with technology. Technology can change things. All right, let's hear the conclusion of what she's saying.
Difficult one, and that certainly does not change our approach to crypto assets and to the regulations, supervision, and proper classification that they should be under in order to avoid misinformation and misleading representations.
The next question.
All right, I think the lady has spoken, but if you will ask me, I think she was really bluffing, because these guys has controlled the narrative and they think it's their birthright to continue to control it. Well, if you are sleeping, I think you should wake up. Now, I have a whole number of things to say, but broadcasting never ends. Informations keep coming. So let me go to the last content of today, and that's our Kringle Private Society content. I'm a member of the Kringle Society, so I could give you some other information, but I'll conclude with giving you fresh information from our Kringle Private Society, which is where I belong, And there is something I just want to say. There are a few things I have to say about this. The first one I'll talk about is our numbers has built up. It's now 272 of 500. 272 of 500. Now, I had a prediction, and my prediction some time ago, that was about, I can't recall, was this. Now, if you blank out these ones, Nope. If you blank out these ones, yep. Now, this was my original prediction. And what's today's date? Today's date is 11th. And when you look at it, 11th is still between 6th and 13th. Now, my prediction was 245 as at 13th. But when you come into our Kringle Cash back office, as at now, we are in 272. This is outstanding. So it's so clear that between now and the 25th of this month, that the number of people who are 500 would have, in fact, it would have exceeded. There will be what you call a spillover. A spillover, because the next time this thing is going to be updated, it's going to be about 290. I made a prediction yesterday that it will be between 270 something and 280. Yeah, it fell in between that, my prediction. Now, the next time it will be updated, it will be 295 or thereabouts. And at that point, it will be around 13th. That's when it will be updated. And once it's updated, it will be very close to 300. The moment it gets to 300, it will take about 1 or 2 weeks. And then that's game over. Those people who are yet to make their yearly subscription fee, well, you will have yourself to blame if you don't do what you need to do as soon as possible. Now, there was one other thing that I want to talk about. Let's go into our Kringle Cash private blog. Now, this is the meeting. Now, there was a content that admin said that the world will not laugh at billionaires. Let me see if I can get it. Billionaires in the TBC community, something like that. Let me see if I can get something like that. Okay, let me try and see if I can type billionaires. Now, I want to actually point out something, because it's going to speak about the meeting we had yesterday. There was a meeting we had yesterday, and hold on. It's not here. I'm coming. Let me see if I can get it. Well, I can't actually recall where I did the broadcast. I actually made the broadcast. I want to remember where I made that broadcast. But then in that broadcast, well, let me save our time. In that broadcast, there were some trolls. I have been having some trolls. Those trolls enjoy watching my broadcast. They love listening to me because they know that I give the right content. Fortunately, I am unfortunately. Fortunately, I am a committed member of the Kringle Society, and I am careful to give out the right information, not the wrong ones. So these trolls think they are intelligent, very intelligent. So they listen to my broadcast to be careful, so that when I make any announcement that is going to affect them, they will make the necessary changes, which is, in my opinion, a crafty system. Beware that our Kringle Society are filtering the best, and filtering the best will be discovered over time. You can't be in the community and then think you will smuggle your way into becoming a billionaire. It won't work like that. You can't be in the community and think you will smuggle your way into being in a top position of the Kringle Society. It won't work like that. There are so many things, so many criteria that the administration will use to filter the chaff, because it's only the wheat, and the wheat will be similar to how you are processing gold. I'm speaking in esoteric language, so those of us who have an ear should picture and then get the content of what I'm saying. You don't expect me to come out in plain language. So when you look at gold is raw material. When you pick it from the ground, it's actually raw material, and it's crazy. It's mixed with a whole number of impurities. But you will process it and you will remove those dross. You will really, really work on the gold at a very high temperature. And then finally, you see the gold coming out excellently well. That's what the TBC community is going to be. Those who are going to be the billionaires in the community, of course, you should have understood the system. You should have had love and respect for mankind. You should have been able to show that you can change the world. You should show an extreme level of submission to authorities, because our system is not a system that the world would like, because we don't expect you to act in a disorderly manner. You can't wake up one morning because you're a billionaire. You can decide to spend 150 billion naira or dollars on anything you like. No, even though you have the money, you must show accountability. Nobody wants to be controlled in the world system. Everybody wants to live as they like. Our system promotes godliness. It promotes sincerity and other virtues that has to come with it. So if you are working with us and you are an unruly billionaire, you may be smart, you may be intelligent, but if you are not worthy in character, I'm sorry, over time, this system will filter you out. I've said a whole number of things. Now, I would conclude by giving us a very, very quick character that every TBC member should have. Every TBC steps required in finding your purpose in the Kringle Private Society. One, becoming a leader in the community is one. Now, that's the first criteria. What does it mean to be a leader in the community? First, you show people example. You lead by example. You lead by action. That's one criteria. Now, leaders in the community in previous times, they came in for different purposes. Some of them came in for selfish purpose. Some of them came in because they wanted to be served, not to serve. In our system, as a leader, you are a servant leader. There was a statement the administration said. He said in our meeting of yesterday, he says he loves his creator. And the best way to show his love for his creator is to serve his fellow man. And I picked that statement. And that is how a leader in our TBC community should be. If you're not thinking on that perspective, from that dimension, well, it's going to take some time. You'll fall off. But then if you succeed in becoming a leader, you become a mentor. A mentor means you show people the path they should go. When you go into your Kringle cashback office, becoming a mentor means in partnership with other merchants, you are able to give them money. You are able to put some money on their table. They are already making money, but you give more money to them. In my previous videos, I talked about being a helper. Like a man has a helper, which is his wife. And if the relationship is built in love and respect, I think that relationship could be a lifetime commitment. Now, becoming an icon in the TBC community, wow. If you're an icon, I can refer to an icon as Bederick. That's an icon in the TBC community. Now, an icon is someone that hears from the administration, interacts with the administration, follows the terms and conditions of the administration. Of course, there is nothing like TBC. Before now, TBC never existed. So the only person to look up to understand how this system works is the administration of the Kringle Private Society. Now, if you choose to follow your own terms and conditions, there is every tendency of you to fall out. And once you fall out, you will say the system is not working. Don't also expect the system to come on a platter of gold. There must be a price to pay. So the administration is looking for icons to work with. Of course, remember, to be an icon, you must have been a leader. You have also been a mentor, leading by example before you rise to the point of becoming an icon. Now, after becoming an icon will take you years. People will see you, love you, respect you, and say this man or this woman is worthy of becoming a leader in the community, a mentor in the community, and also a billionaire. A billionaire is somebody that, the right sense of becoming a billionaire is somebody that has global influence. Now, permit me to refer to the Christian perspective, or refer to there is this man, Mahatma Gandhi. He said, I think he was the one that said, be the change that you want to see in the world. That is servant leadership. He's someone that has love for mankind. And because of that love, he has shown it by example. Now, the last thing is becoming a global influencer. Becoming a global influencer is when we have gotten to our economy phase. All right, I'll stop here. And then I'll come your way again, most likely tomorrow. I don't know. I don't promise. But let's see how it goes. All right. So thank you very much for spending some good time with me. And should I come your way again some other time? Cheers, and God bless you.